Hello, my name is Anthony Wall. Joe Rogan is a good man. He's trying to have care, but he's being lied to by Facebook. Is recorded, sought me out, is recorded. They sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. Some ways all completely on their own. Some ways the FBI. Some ways CIA. Some ways Weathersfield Police. Some ways New Britain Superior Court, the Connecticut District Court, Hartford Courts. Their family members, their intimate ties. They have roles with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, foreign and domestic military, collusion/S. They have roles pretending people make conspiracy theories to change and fake and hide what they said about World Trade Center predicate acts. Channel 3 News has recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed collusions with the Facebook pages of the Britain Superior Court and with Weathersfield Police, with World Trade Center predicate acts with them. They have wire crime acts and methods with their phones, where the agencies fake transcripts. But these are not alone. They have roles with the interbranch families, with all the countries involved with the World Trade Center attack. They have collusions like concentrated with psychiatry. Hartford Hospital has recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed a bunch of judges and prosecutors involved with people with the FBI, various natures of federal criminals, and sexual medical offenders of kids. They have since the 70s been in collusions with and people with the name Violet too, with UConn, with like psychiatry has all kinds of delusions and collusions. And with the names of the experts of the sciences, like American history, they were not supposed to entertain. We're not supposed to entertain anyone pretended as a known name of a founder. We know there were plural founders because they counter extorted everybody. They forced them to take part with the Declaration of Independence in the Constitutional Convention. They had to leave slavery entrenched. James Madison detailed about this. They wanted nothing to do with slavery. For example, when we hear people say, oh, our founders owned slaves, the breaching method measures and maintains that experts on the names of history are used collusion/S with how it showed them to speak about history and how them to hide nature's demonstrations of it, which shows them to blame other things, others, ourselves. They have the right to lie to parents, and they've been doing that where they don't have the right to lie, including the right to lie to students. And the differences of guilt of our country, the other countries involved here and there, where they're directed to higher overt criminal enterprises at the same time, and private ones. The differences of guilt, the news at the same time. These are databases, illusions, stacking, collusions, and used remotely, showing these to hide lie progressions, used to screen motives. With more and more, there are true motives like their money, but that's not the motive. Let them say that on paper. So Facebook has collusions with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me and a whole bunch of other people. They have collusions with mayors, mayors from different cities who are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Enzo Fienza has people named Dylan involved with predicate acts and people involved with child abusers with WFSB and Elm Street in Rocky Hill with a bunch of people on Two-Rod Highway where it runs into Hangdog Dog Lane, involved with body dumping spots years apart. And Enzo Fienza confirmed this on Facebook. Then they took my Facebook page. Other people confirmed, Robert Rodriguez confirmed about the things. Facebook has collusions with Robert Rodriguez and with a whole bunch of people. And they've been lying about their motivations. They're offensively planting fake motivations. Although we were just trying to get people to argue. Oh, we are doing a social experiment. Also, Central Connecticut State University has multiple departments involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids. And they have all kinds of illusions tied to it. And they have people like a James Carone, a Kevin Carone, and I don't know his brother's name, Kevin Carone. I never saw them on a Weathersfield campus in my life. I never saw a Perone family on my campus in my life. They have collusions with a former Mayor Gold and a Debbie Gold and a Lee Gold. I never even saw a Lee Gold. And a Debbie Gold tried to make fake exceptions, pretend to know me years apart. And her father, too. And with my sixth grade class, there's people with Russia, with the fire departments, and with Ukraine, and with an Inspector Mike, who's been planting evidence on all sides of my house. Also with an Officer Jerry Miller. had been planting evidence also in my house and with Facebook, involved with some sexual and medical offenders of kids with multiple police forms. Whiting Forensics has collusions with the families involved with sexual and medical offenders and untimely deaths and body dumping spots, time uses of it at the same time, years apart, and then years later, and different body dumping spots, different reported killers. Two, personally involved with the prisons involved with them, a Cololo family and a Demora family, and more people are some of the people. Also, the intelligence family confessed there's a Lance Cuddy. I never saw Lance Cuddy on the campus of my life. A Lance Cuddy is increasingly involved with people since I was a kid that made confessions with other people's names. A Chet Casper too. I don't know a Chet Casper. I mean, I know who he is, but I never saw him around schools. He's involved planting evidences and fake ties to me, fake nature's ties to me, sequence shifts with a former Debbie Gold and her educators, and people that were planting evidence on all sides of my house, with like a Burstein family and others too, with the Violet family, with Central Connecticut State University, Trinity College, and UConn, have roles with untimely deaths, and people that work at Hartford Hospital with interagencies, and they have lawyers there involved with all kinds of scams. And these are with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, the family members of the fire departments running it to hide life progressions, has relativity to the roles. Increasingly, people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed they're trying to start fights between me and a guy Dina Vellis. I never had a problem with guy Dina Vellis in my life. A Chris Walters and others from Central Connecticut State University recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed all along Route 175 from Central Connecticut State University into Britain to through Newington and Weathersfield to the founding locations. They have been planting evidences there since I was a kid, putting fake exceptions of knowing me, and as strangers seeking me out to make confessions. Also as collusion / us with complete strangers involved with them with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me, and with Whiting Forensics with Joshua Julian, with people on all sides of my house, further with extended family members who had and have collusions with sexual and medical offenders on Facebook pages of campuses. And these are people pretending, and they're making people say things angry because they're planting evidences, collusions with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases in the interbranch and their family members at the same time with the news, putting the same sequence shifts at the same time, even when they're not involved with the cases, overt criminal enterprises, private ones involved with those same campuses. They're not legitimately with acting professors too, involved with WTNH and the networks and the intelligence next to them. Collusions with all kinds of wire crime acts and methods, predicate acts methods. Let's focus on the World Trade Center predicate acts, the fake conversations of Channel 3 News. You guys are making everything in state allegations. We must not leave out what our founders left to us. One of the founding locations in Old Weathersfield, Connecticut, conjunctive to Route 175. Main Street turns in Route 175. It's a witch trials place right near like a short piece of, about less than maybe 100 feet or less from Webb House, now renamed the Webb Stevens Museum. Then and now, they still have other communicated for our founders in the founding plan. They have self-guided roles used to sense and sensibilities of the names of the people. The sciences individually grouped it together, criminally foreign influence, acceptations of them, uses of the knowledge of good and evil as sequence shifting styles, demonstrated by nature and demonstrate our, especially when you put our founders, what they communicated through James Madison, how he detailed why they wanted nothing to do with slavery, women's suffrage against Native Americans. All exceptions, no one had free speech, including our founders. And they knew if we spoke up about any of those things, everyone had, there were internationally monitored conversations, everyone was measured and maintained. Collusion / us to an extent against themselves and everyone else, therefore physically. And with every way, the way everything goes down, people make subject treatments. And relative to where and to how, where there are exceptions, the exception, where there is exception nature, how it stayed criminal insidiousness natures, of positive treatments and negative treatments, and different treatments, therefore names. There are things that are not debatable that are gotten away with pretended to be debatable relative to this. We're not supposed to entertain anyone pretended to be a known plural founder besides James Madison. but we're directed to understand why and how to know that there were plural founders that forced everyone to take part of the Declaration of Independence. People pretending to be against no kings and to be against dictators were being and haven't been used remotely, criminally, foreign influenced as fact treatment nature since they were kids. Forgiveness is to not leave out the breaching method that is simultaneously and has been simultaneously guilt, collusion / S with them. The World Trade Center has roles through world wars. Since before the World Trade Center, through world wars, through the Civil War, there was a breaching method entrenched. Our founders left us to understand why and how they had to force both the North and South to take up the subject of slavery, even though it was imposed by what had nothing to do with slavery, had nothing to do with women's suffrage, had nothing to do with hate against Native Americans. It needs everyone to employ, blaming other things, others ourselves, for what nature is increasingly showing us to blame on a breaching method. And our founders left this communicated for themselves. Our founders declassified for us not to allow to have their not to allow people to use the words of everyone to get over on what they had communicated. Because the words of everyone were constantly measured and maintained by the sense and sensibilities, rules, not just by the rules, but overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and terrorists. We're supposed to understand why there's a witch trials place near Webb House / now it's renamed the Webb Stevens Museum. This breaching method showed you guys how to read communication, which is distinct from words. And then it showed you how you need to hide that. You're experts. And then that's keeping everything, using the experts like, oh, you don't know this about American history. This came first. This is the birth thing. Like we can't even get, I've been asking you since, but every year since the world, it's recorded how their careers, they are kept criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. The names of the people of sciences, A through Z, including the law. Please, someone ask Joe Rogan to help me. I'm not being heard because the FBI also has collusions with Facebook and with Twitter. Twitter has obscure pictures. Collusions also with the ones involved with the principal obscure nature. I record him involved with other natures of organized crimes, plural, and female judges' collusions with such, because the courts are incapable of making a proper fact treatment because they were already used remotely at the same time with all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the news with the same self-guided sequence shifts. Criminally foreign influence and tactically delusions raw fact treatment nature quality aspects of nature being and have been used remotely as collusion / S. We have black pupils, whites of eyes. Of eyes? Please get them on paper, one name and sequence. There are proofs that they're changing what's typed to judges, like Judge Napolitano. Fox News has recorded roles of wire crime acts and methods of CBS News and the differences of their guilt with people involved with the sources of WTNH are involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, planting evidences at corners of streets through time too, and next to campuses while they were and are further being and haven't been used remotely, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. And this is an organized crime method / S between the campuses too, consciously, and using names next to it for identity theft, fraud, slanders too. Whiting forensics is increasingly involved further then and now with some sexual and medical offenders of kids with Facebook, Twitter. And the agencies are forcing the social media to collusion / S. Please, YouTube, FBI has roles with CBS, with fabricated evidences, and they have roles with various prosecutors and judges and their family members with criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and precedents and exceptions, and pretending that just because people aren't lawyers, they can't, they're lying. Because, in other words, there's an industries, their whole industries, they were showing they were child abused. We have to get them focused on the predicate acts I mentioned because they do that. They have people changing and faking what people say and say, oh, well, they said a whole bunch of things. I don't know about that. Let's focus on the fake World Trade Center predicate acts. Because I was in the court as an observer next to the World Trade Center, and the court's identity was stolen by a sequence shift per minute that was proven after. That's right, the morning of the World Trade Center attack, and the night before it, a whole bunch of people, increasingly collusion/S, on my street from other areas, and with the same house/S further involved. And, these are intelligence families that don't even live here anymore. They had the high libel aggressions too when they came back. With the Tim O'Brien is one of the ones with New Britain Superior Court, and the multiple police departments, and with the prisons, Sandy Hook campuses, and child prisons too, are involved with sexual medical offenders of kids with the same house/S further then and now, with years apart, first forced child abusers, leaders of kids, and more then and now. These are also families with the different natures of agencies and roles where they store drugs to make it look like they're police forms and that and like that. But they're using that where they don't have the right to lie. They're involved with all kinds of predicate acts, methods/S collusion, and with databases. So these are people involved. Facebook is lying about what they know is recorded, but they're being collusion. That's why we can't leave out the FBI. And they brought up people that brought like other agencies in. There's a girl who brought in the CIA and her syntax in one of the Facebook pages. They also make fake Facebook pages pretending to be me with the ones they took to hide what was confirmed to me. This is before and after the World Trade Center attack, before they were Facebook. Facebook had collusions with databases and this method and nature of organized crime recorded that our founders told us to address. Who disbelieves?